Are you sick of SEO theory and want some actionable tips that will actually help you rank #1 in Google? Well, you're in the right place. In this video, I'm going to show you 7 SEO tips that are working right now. Number 1, splinter your content. If your website is currently ranking for any keywords, then you're sitting on an SEO goldmine. Here's what you need to do. Open SEMrush, enter your domain, and go to Organic Research, click on the Positions dropdown and select 51 through 100. I call these clustering opportunities. In short, you'll likely have a page ranking for keywords that will never be able to rank #1 in Google because it isn't hyper-focused enough. And that's when splintering your content comes into play. For example, Gotcha SEO ranks 57 for Surfer SEO group by with a page reviewing Surfer. This page can never rank #1 for this keyword because it isn't relevant enough. So what I would do is create a dedicated page for Surfer SEO group by and then internally link these pages together. And I've tested this thousands of times at this point, and the splintered content outperforms the original 9 times out of 10. For example, I went through this exact process with Gotcha SEO when we were ranking for iMovie crashes when importing around position 60 with my general iMovie review page. So I splintered this idea into its own dedicated asset, and it's ranked for 2 years without much effort. Now let's move on to SEO tip number 2, which is actually experience the product or service. So experience is the new E in Google's EEAT guidelines, and it's based on this simple question. Does the content also demonstrate that it was produced with some degree of experience, such as with actual use of a product, having actually visited a place, or communicating what a person experienced? And this question is so important to Google that it's mentioned 108 times in the Quality Rater guidelines. So here are 3 ways to demonstrate experience to elevate your SEO content quality. Number 1, do what's difficult. Google mentions effort 101 times in the QRG, and it makes perfect sense because it's like anything else in life. You're rewarded for the effort you put into something. Creating content is like any other skill. The more effort and time you invest, the better it and you typically become. And that's why someone like Brian Dean can publish at a random cadence and crush everyone else. Brian invests time, effort, and capital into making the best content possible instead of trying to maintain some silly editorial standards. And the funny thing is, I've been producing content that demonstrates experience for years, like when I analyzed 10,000 keywords to see what CMS is best for SEO. And my idea behind these assets stemmed from my YouTube experience and studying top YouTubers like Mr. Beast. Number 2, become a human guinea pig. Look for opportunities to try things, and that'll require you to invest in your content, like when I purchased 26 SEO books to write a review. And when you put in this much effort, your content is substantially more original than what's ranking, and it becomes more difficult for people to copy you because you've built a moat. Plus, original content with a unique angle tends to attract more backlinks naturally, and that means there's a compound effect for your efforts. Now keep in mind that you don't always need to create content to get links. For example, search intelligence can get high quality backlinks without having to create assets. They use a unique strategy that doesn't require actually creating anything. Instead, you contribute expert insights to other websites, they pitch a huge list of journalists, and you score powerful backlinks to your homepage. And don't underestimate the power of homepage links. In fact, if you study the link profiles of the most successful websites online, most of their backlinks are hitting their homepage. For example, Wikipedia has backlinks hitting its homepage, and if your site is structured well, the backlink equity and trust will flow to other pages on your website. So I'll have a link below this video where you can learn more about search intelligence. Let's move on to number 3, which is curate experience. So the highest effort content will require you to commit capital and time to demonstrate firsthand experience. Fortunately, there is a workaround if you're not into that. You can use other people's experience to create a content-rich page. Here's an example. Now, like I mentioned, you don't always have to use your own firsthand experience. You can actually jump onto other people's experience to create really great content. So I'm using some pretty extreme examples here, but Rotten Tomatoes is the best example of this. So Rotten Tomatoes itself doesn't actually do any reviews at all, but what they do is they curate reviews from experts, and then they curate reviews from the audience, so just regular people. And as a result, they have a very good scoring mechanism that's really reliable. So most people who want to go and see movies, they want to go and look at Rotten Tomatoes. So when you're trying to make a decision to see a movie, a lot of people refer to Rotten Tomatoes because this is such an accurate meter for how good a movie is going to be. If it has a high critic score and a high audience score, you can pretty much determine that it's going to be a pretty good movie. So this is just another great way where you can actually curate reviews and curate other people's experience to generate great content. And then G2 does this as well. G2 doesn't actually review these products. What it does is it actually curates reviews from other verified users. So there's many different ways to go about injecting experience into your content. So you can either do that firsthand experience, or you can leverage this technique where you actually take other people's experiences and put that into your content. Number 3, optimize existing SEO content. So start with keywords that are ranking between positions number 2 and 15. And once you've identified keyword targets, you'll need to examine these pages and see how to make them better. And the quickest way to improving existing assets is to look for topic gaps. Here's how. Okay, so I'm inside of SEMrush, and what you want to do is go into the filter and do 2 through 15. So it's going to show us all the keywords that are ranking from positions 2 to 15. And this is just, in my opinion, these are what I call low-hanging fruits from this range. And these are really, really good keywords because just with some adjustments, we can typically see some good traffic increases, okay? Now, another thing you can do is you can actually use these filters. So I will start with very easy because I just want to see, like, are there any keywords where we can see some substantial gains without a lot of effort? Okay, that's what we're going for here, is like, you know, maximum gains with minimal effort, all right? And you can look through a lot of these. Some are super long tail, and you know, some will require different methods to get these to improve. But basically the one that I'm gonna look for here is this niche edit service one. Okay, so we're ranking about number 10 here, 70 volume and really low KD, okay? So what we wanna do is see, can we actually improve the rankings for this keyword with an existing page, okay? And more than likely, because when we look at this page, it's definitely gonna have kind of similar intent. So we're not really gonna need to create a new page to be able to target this, okay? Now we could look at some other ones and maybe see a situation where we would need to create a new page, all right? So for example, with Surfer SEO versus Ahrefs, okay? If we open up this URL, you're gonna see that I do talk about that right here, okay? I do have a little tiny section about this particular idea. But truthfully, I'm probably never going to be able to rank for this exact phrase, because when we go and look at the top results, I'll actually take that period out, you'll see that 2 out of the top results actually have dedicated pages specifically for this query, okay? And actually the top 3. So, and actually a lot do. There's actually way more than that. So almost every single result here on the first page has a dedicated page to that one idea, okay? So I'm basically always going to lose in this scenario because my page is not specific enough to rank, okay? So in that scenario, it would be best to create a dedicated page to ultimately, go deep into this concept, all right? So 2 different scenarios, but in this scenario, we're gonna be talking about how to actually optimize an existing page. So let me show you how to do that. Okay, so now I'm inside of rankability, and all that you have to do is just go to the content optimizer and go ahead and just enter the keyword that you want to improve, and then go ahead and grab the URL. And we're gonna go ahead and enter that in here, and then just click run optimize. And then when that's complete, just go ahead and click in, and now you're gonna be taken to the content optimizer. Okay, so there's a few things you can do here. Number 1, we can start to look specifically at the opportunities here and see where we need to narrow some gaps. Now, this is one thing that a lot of people unfortunately get wrong, is when they see these NLP opportunities, natural language, processing type of opportunities here. What you need to do is you need to actually view these as topics. Don't view these as keywords. Because if you view them as keywords, what tends to happen is you're going to look at these and look for areas to just inject this into the content, okay? And you don't want to do that. What you want to do is see that maybe there's some situations where, maybe this content isn't deep enough to rank for some of these concepts, okay? Now, in this case, it's actually gonna be really easy because niche edit service, that specific phrase, I don't even mention anywhere on the page. In fact, I don't even think I mentioned service. Actually, I do mention it right here, right there in one spot. Okay, so literally one spot I mention it in the content. All right, so what I could do is obviously look through this content, look for opportunities to actually add that in there. Now, I have niche edits here, but I could add like approved vendor for niche edit services, right? So if we do that, niche edit services, and that will help us get that specific phrase in the content. Okay. Now, if you wanted to take it another notch, you obviously could add that in certain areas. So like, for example, we could do niche edits work. We could say do niche edit services work. Okay. And the reason we're doing this is this can help us capture more long tail traffic. Okay. Because you do, unfortunately, the way the Google is set up, like if you don't mention the keyword at all, you might not rank, honestly. That is kind of the way that it is. So you want to build your page around like the main core idea. In this case, it's niche edits, but you also want to start to hit on some of those kind of key concepts. Now, looking at this, we've also got some other gaps. We've got guest posting, which isn't mentioned. I mentioned guest post, but not guest posting. So that one's up for debate, but even ones like link insertion, okay? A niche edit is really just a link insertion, and I don't actually mention it anywhere in the content. Okay, so I'd want to find opportunities to inject, some of these topics in here. Now, like I mentioned, sometimes it's as simple as adding it into the content, but other times you may find some situations where you need to actually build out more content to support that particular idea. Okay, now looking at this, let's see if we can find one, like for example, link juice. Okay, like we can go and look at the examples and see like how is link juice being used contextually within these assets here. Okay, and there are people that talk about it quite a bit, and I don't mention it at all. All right, so maybe a little section about, do niche edits actually send, high quality link juice to a website? Like, are they actually worth it? Do they actually work? Okay, I can build a whole section about that. So that's the way that I view these, and I'm not even concerned about the quantity of times that I mention that particular topic. What I care about is that I just hit on that topic at least once. That way I know I have narrowed that gap. So this is the beauty of using a tool like Rankability, is you actually just make your content way more relevant, way more deep. And there's some other tools out there that basically reward you for injecting as many of these keywords in here as possible. I don't actually recommend that. What I recommend doing is just trying to get in that optimal range. That way you're, kind of within the same ballpark as everyone else, but you've built a properly relevant page. And, our keywords here are actually sorted by priority and relevance. So, if you kind of front load the ones at the top, those are going to be the most important. And as you go down, obviously these become not as important. So pick and choose, use your best judgment, but at the end of the day, try to get into that optimal range. And once you've gone through your existing assets, it's time for number 4, the reverse silo technique. In short, most of your backlinks should hit linkable assets, and then you drive the link equity to other critical pages using internal linking. Just remember that a rising tide lifts all ships, and that means if you drive backlinks to one page, it'll improve the overall site authority, which improves the performance of other pages. Here's an example. Okay, so for this example of using the reverse silo the right way, I'm actually going to be using exploding topics because they do this exceptionally well. So keep in mind, they have a lot of links going to their homepage, but what I don't really want you to look at that. What I want you to look at is I want to look at these internal pages where they're driving so many links. So if you go into SEMrush, you can just go to index pages. You can see any website, you can see the types of pages that have attracted the most links. And you should definitely be studying your competitors and seeing like what is that kind of template that they're using that has been proven to work. Now when you look at exploding topics, there's a template that they're using that has been proven to work over and over and over, and it's at data-driven content, right? You look at these assets that are ranking. I mean, they're top 3, very similar, right? Very similar type of content. And the reason is, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Like if this is working, keep creating assets like this and this data-driven content, because clearly it's what attracts a lot of links. So you can see here that this is exceptionally, it's really data-driven. It has tons of link bait elements in it. This is a perfect type of content for attracting links. And it's the same thing with these, same exact one, same exact model. So you can literally take this template and apply it to your industry and be relatively confident that there's a good chance it will work as long as you create it at the level that they do. Now, What does this have to do with the reverse silo? So keep in mind, like these topics that they're building upon do not necessarily translate to more leads for their software tool. Okay, someone looking up, internet traffic for mobile devices, like they're probably not necessarily going to be a good fit for their software. It's just a fact. But that's not why they're building these. Number one, they're building these for pure brand awareness. Okay, just pure brand awareness. And you look at how much traffic they're getting. I think they get like 400,000 visitors a month or something. Okay, so just brand awareness, very top of the funnel, very far from a conversion. Okay, so that's kind of the first one. The second one, which is really the key objective here of what these are built for, is to get links. Okay, and if these get links, this is one thing that people don't realize is you can drive links to an asset like this, and it actually will raise the overall authority of the entire website. Okay, so when you think about domain rating or authority score or DA, doesn't matter which metric you use. And of course, these are third-party metrics. They're not necessarily what Google uses, but it can give us a good indication of how strong that website is overall. Now, here's the thing. You can build overall website authority via one page. Like if you drive links to one page, it will lift your site authority overall. Okay, it does not matter. So you can literally use these pages to build the strength, and all of that link equity that hits here, every backlink that hits this page flows right back to the home page, flows right back to all these other important pages that matter to them. Okay, and if it flows to the home page, that's going to flow all the way through their other important pages, those more transactional pages where they actually drive conversions. Okay, and this is the pure definition of a reverse silo. Is you're using content. You're using high quality content to drive link equity back to your most important pages. And this is the same on e-commerce. This is the same on any type of business. Leading with content is the key to really growing website authority. So take advantage of these SEO tips and please subscribe because I have many other cool SEO videos coming soon.